Did you seriously bring your kid to an interview? A woman in a perfectly tailored suit muttered to another, loud enough for Amelia to hear. Amelia clutched Lily tighter to her chest, pretending not to have heard a thing. The lobby of Accentech Incorporated was filled with impeccably dressed women with flawless resumes and, notably, no children in tow. They all stared at her as if she were an alien. "Ma'am, are you sure you wouldn't prefer to reschedule?" the receptionist asked, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. "These interviews often last up to 2 hours. "I can't reschedule," Amelia replied, gently swaying Lily. "My sitter canceled last minute, and I really need this job." The receptionist raised an eyebrow and returned to her computer. Amelia found a seat away from the cluster of candidates who continued to cast disdainful glances and whisper. "Mommy, I'm thirsty," Lily said, her voice sleepy. "Just a moment, sweetie. I'll get you some water." Amelia rummaged through her worn bag for a water bottle, accidentally spilling some papers onto the floor. As she bent to pick them up, she heard snickers. She bit her lip, considering just leaving. This had been a terrible idea from the start. "Candidate number 8, Amelia Hayes," the receptionist called out. Amelia took a deep breath and walked towards the door, Lily in her arms. The stairs followed her like daggers in her back. "Good luck," someone said with a sarcastic tone. Entering the office, she expected to find some HR executive. Instead, she came face to face with a tall man in a dark suit, reviewing her resume. "Mr. Sterling, this is Amelia Hayes, the next candidate," the assistant announced. Amelia froze. Ethan Sterling? The CEO of Accentech Incorporated? This was definitely not in her plans. "Thank you, Clara," he replied without looking up from the papers. "You're dismissed." When the door closed, Ethan looked up. His eyes first landed on Lily, clinging to her mother's neck like a koala, and then on Amelia, who was trying to maintain her composure. "I think there's been a mistake," Amelia said, her voice trembling. "I was told the interview would be with HR." "No mistake," Ethan replied, placing the resume on his desk. "I personally interview all candidates for the development department. Mr. Sterling, I apologize for my appearance. My sitter canceled, and I had no one to leave my daughter with." Ethan looked at her intently and gestured to a chair. "Please have a seat." Amelia obeyed, settling Lily on her lap. "I see you have excellent university qualifications, but no work experience in programming," Ethan observed. "Why should I hire you?" "Because I'm a fast learner," Amelia replied with more firmness than she felt. "And because I need this job more than anyone else out there." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Need is not a qualification. Need is motivation," Amelia retorted. "I'll work harder than anyone because I have more to lose." Lily stirred restlessly, and Amelia pulled a small notebook and a pencil from her bag. The little girl immediately began to scribble, entertained. "How old is your daughter?" Ethan asked. 3 years old. "And the father?" Amelia's jaw tightened. "He's not in the picture." "And how do you plan to manage your work responsibilities with a small child?" "I have a sitter for normal days. Today was an exception." Ethan watched Lily, who was drawing intently. "Do you know why I'm personally interviewing you, Ms. Hayes?" "No, sir." "Because your test code was the best I've seen in months. However, it says here you only took online courses and have never worked at a tech company." Amelia was surprised. She hadn't expected the CEO to have reviewed her technical test. "I taught myself," she explained. "When Lily goes to sleep, I study." Ethan leaned back in his chair and looked at her intensely. "What if I gave you a chance and you failed?" "I won't fail," Amelia replied with the certainty of someone with no other option. "I can't afford to." Ethan picked up a pen and scribbled something on a sheet of paper. "Tomorrow at 9, there will be a practical test with the development team. If you pass, the position is yours." Amelia could barely believe it. Seriously. Seriously. But no more kids in the office, understood? Find a permanent solution. Amelia nodded, trying to contain her emotion. "Thank you, Mr. Sterling. Don't thank me yet. Tomorrow, things get serious." As Amelia stood up, Lily dropped her notebook. Ethan picked it up and handed it to her, his fingers brushing Amelia's for an instant. She felt a strange tingling sensation but attributed it to nerves. "See you tomorrow," Ethan said, returning to his desk. "And Amelia, don't disappoint me. Do you think Amelia will ace the practical test? Or will the pressure get to her? Let us know your predictions in the comments below." The clock read 8:30 when Amelia crossed the doors of Accentech Incorporated for the second time. Without Lily in her arms, she walked taller, but just as nervously. The receptionist recognized her immediately. "Good morning, Ms. Hayes. The development team is waiting for you in the Onyx room, 3rd floor," she said with a tone less kind than professional. Amelia nodded her thanks and headed for the elevator. While waiting, she heard a familiar voice. "How's your daughter today?" Clara, Ethan's assistant, asked, approaching with a genuine smile. "With my neighbor. Thanks for asking." The elevator arrived, and they both stepped in. "Don't let them intimidate you," Clara whispered. "Ethan never personally interviews anyone. If he did with you, it's because he saw something special." Before Amelia could reply, the doors opened on the 3rd floor. Clara showed her the way and said goodbye with a light squeeze on her arm. The practical test was brutal. 3 hours solving real-time problems in front of 5 senior developers who watched her like vultures. Amelia felt beads of sweat roll down her back as she typed out solutions. "Time, Martin," the team lead, announced when the clock struck noon. "You can wait outside while we deliberate." Amelia exited with trembling legs. In the hallway, she leaned against the wall and checked her phone. The sitter had sent a photo of Lily playing peacefully. At least something was going well. 10 minutes later, the door opened. "Congratulations. You're in," Martin said without enthusiasm. "You start tomorrow. 8th floor, cubicle 42. The rest of the team left without looking at her. Only one young woman smiled briefly as she passed. Amelia felt like she was floating as she descended to the lobby. She had done it. For the first time in 3 years, she would have a stable job. Don't forget to hit that like button if you're rooting for Amelia. Your support means the world to us. The next day, she arrived half an hour early. The 8th floor was a maze of identical cubicles. She found 42 and discovered a new computer waiting for her. "Your first project is on the server," Martin said, appearing behind her. "You have 3 days to complete it." 3 days. Amelia reviewed the files. This would normally take a week. "If you want more time, maybe this isn't the place for you," he replied coldly. "Here, we work at a different pace." For the next few hours, Amelia barely looked up from the screen. At noon, when everyone else went to lunch, she continued working. Someone placed a sandwich and coffee on her desk. "Courtesy of Clara," a female voice said. "I'm Daniela, by the way. Don't give up. They always do this with new hires." At 5, Amelia had to leave to pick up Lily. She felt disapproving glances as she packed her things while the others continued working. In the elevator, to her surprise, she came face to face with Ethan. "Mr. Sterling," she greeted nervously. "How was your first day?" he asked with genuine interest. "Intense. Did Martin already give you the impossible project?" Amelia was surprised by his frankness. "You know about that?" "Of course. It's a tradition to filter out those who can't handle pressure," Ethan replied. "Are you going to quit?" "Of course not," Amelia answered with determination. "I'll finish it before the deadline." Something akin to admiration shone in Ethan's eyes. "I'm glad to hear that." The doors opened in the parking lot. "Do you need a ride anywhere?" he offered. "No, thank you. I'll take the bus." Ethan nodded and headed to his car. Amelia watched him drive away, wondering if all CEOs were this contradictory. Tough but observant, demanding but fair. For the following weeks, Amelia established a routine. She woke up early to get work done, used every free minute, and when everyone left, she continued from home after putting Lily to bed. She finished the impossible project in 2.5 days. Martin said nothing, but he assigned her more important tasks. Some colleagues began asking her for advice. Others, especially a group led by Patricia, the most senior developer, continued to treat her like an intruder. "Don't worry about Patricia," Clara told her during a quick coffee break. "She's resentful because she expected her niece to get your position." "That explains a lot," Amelia replied. "By the way, Ethan asks about your progress," Clara added with an enigmatic smile. "Mr. Sterling asks about me?" "Constantly, though he tries to hide it." Clara lowered her voice. "I've never seen him so attentive to a new employee." Amelia didn't know how to respond. Since their brief encounter in the elevator, she had barely seen Ethan. But sometimes, during general meetings, she felt an intense gaze upon her. A month after her hiring, Amelia received an email that took her breath away. "Your performance has been exceptional. I need you on the Phoenix project team. Presentation tomorrow, 10 a.m. Ethan Sterling." The Phoenix project was the crown jewel of Accentech Incorporated. Only the best participated in it. As she reread the message, Amelia noticed Patricia watching her from the hallway with a mixture of disbelief and contempt. The game had just begun. The executive floor conference room was packed when Amelia entered. All members of the Phoenix project, the brightest at Accentech Incorporated, looked at her with curiosity as she searched for a seat. "Over here, Amelia," Daniela called, pointing to an empty chair next to her. She had barely sat down when Ethan entered the room. Silence was immediate. "As you know, in 3 days we will present Phoenix to our investors," he began without preamble. "Last night we discovered a critical error in the security system. We need to fix it today." A murmur of concern swept through the room. Ethan projected the code onto the screen. "I have invited Amelia Hayes to join the team because she has specific experience with this type of protocol." All eyes turned towards her. Patricia, sitting at the other end of the table, let out a barely audible snort. "Experience?" Ricardo, the technical director, interrupted. "Excuse me, Ethan, but she's only been here a month. Her university project was on this same authentication system," Ethan replied firmly. "I've already reviewed her previous code." "Amelia, can you explain your approach?" With her heart pounding, Amelia stood up and walked towards the screen. For 20 minutes she explained the problem and proposed 3 possible solutions. The room remained in absolute silence. "Let's implement the second option," Ethan decided when she finished. "Ricardo, Patricia, and Amelia will work together. I need results by this afternoon." The next 8 hours were a battle. Patricia questioned every line of code Amelia wrote, while Ricardo watched the dynamic with discomfort. Still, they made progress. At 7 in the evening, Amelia received a message from the sitter. "Lily has a fever. I've given her medicine, but she's asking for you." "I need to go," Amelia announced. "My daughter is sick." Patricia rolled her eyes. "Seriously? We're in a crisis and you're leaving for a cold." "I've finished my part," Amelia replied, putting away her things. "The code is commented and ready for integration." Before Patricia could respond, Ethan appeared at the door. "How are we doing?" "Amelia's abandoning us," Patricia said scornfully. "Family problems." Ethan looked at Amelia, who was holding her phone with concern. "Everything okay?" "My daughter has a fever. I have to go." To everyone's surprise, Ethan nodded sympathetically. "Go ahead. Ricardo, can you send me a report when you're done?" What do you think of Ethan's reaction? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you're enjoying the story, please subscribe for more. The next morning, Amelia arrived early. Lily had improved and was sleeping when she left her with the sitter. On her desk, she found a note. "Your solution worked perfectly. General meeting 10 a.m. to prepare tomorrow's presentation." As the day of the event arrived, the main auditorium of Accentech Incorporated was filled with investors, journalists, and executives. Amelia sat in the back row, nervous but proud to have contributed to the project. Ethan walked onto the stage and began to present Phoenix. His charisma and technical knowledge impressed the audience. Midway through the presentation, while explaining precisely the part of the code Amelia had worked on, the back door of the auditorium opened. Amelia froze. "Lily, in her favorite dress and unicorn backpack, had just entered, followed by a panting sitter. "I'm so sorry," the woman whispered as she reached Amelia. "She got away when I went to the bathroom. Insisted she had to see you." Before they could stop her, Lily ran down the central aisle shouting, "Mommy! Mommy!" Hundreds of heads turned. Ethan paused mid-sentence. Amelia wished the ground would swallow her as she stood up to intercept her daughter. What happened next left everyone speechless. Ethan put down the microphone, stepped off the stage, and with complete naturalness, picked Lily up in his arms before she reached her mother. "Hello, little one," he said with a smile. "We're a bit busy right now." To Amelia's astonishment, Lily didn't cry or get scared. Instead, she looked at Ethan with curiosity and touched his blue tie. "It's pretty," the child said. A murmur of nervous laughter swept through the auditorium. Ethan, without losing his composure, walked over to Amelia and handed Lily to her. "I think someone was looking for you," he said with a wink. Camera flashes lit up, capturing the moment. Amelia, completely embarrassed, took her daughter and left the auditorium with the sitter. "I'm so sorry," the woman kept repeating as they walked to the reception area. "Don't worry, Teresa. It wasn't your fault," Amelia replied, though inside she felt her career had just ended. That was quite a moment, wasn't it? What's your favorite part of the story so far? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like this video. Half an hour later, when the presentation concluded, the auditorium erupted in applause. Amelia waited at the reception, ready to apologize to Ethan and possibly receive her termination letter. To her surprise, Clara appeared with a radiant smile. "That was incredible," the assistant exclaimed. "The investors are thrilled. They say Ethan showed a human side they've never seen before. They're not mad." "Are you kidding?" A Tech Week photographer captured the exact moment Ethan picked up Lily. It's already circulating on social media with the hashtag #TechWithHeart. Amelia looked incredulously at the phone screen Clara showed her. The photo was perfect. Ethan holding Lily, both smiling, with the Accentech Incorporated logo shining in the background. "The board of directors is furious, of course," Clara added, lowering her voice. "But the public reaction is overwhelmingly positive." When Ethan finally appeared, surrounded by executives, his gaze sought Amelia in the crowd. Their eyes met for a second. He gave her a small smile and an almost imperceptible nod before continuing with his important guests. That brief gesture told Amelia everything she needed to know. She wasn't fired. In fact, something had fundamentally changed in her relationship with the enigmatic CEO of Accentech Inc. "That photo again," Amelia exclaimed, quickly closing the browser tab. 3 days had passed since the incident, and the image of Ethan holding Lily continued to appear everywhere. Tech media praised Accentech Incorporated for its human face, while social media speculated about the identity of the mother and child. "You should be proud," Daniela commented from the next cubicle. "The company has never had so much positive publicity. I'd feel better if they didn't point at me every time I walk down the halls," Amelia replied. Her desk phone rang. It was Clara. "Ethan wants to see you in his office now." Amelia felt a knot in her stomach as she ascended to the executive floor. Had the CEO changed his mind? Would he fire her now that the media effect was fading? Entering the office, she found Ethan reviewing documents. "Please have a seat," he said without looking up. Amelia obeyed, mentally preparing for the worst. "The marketing department wants to use the photo for a campaign," Ethan finally announced, looking her in the eyes. "I need your permission as Lily's mother. They want to use the photo officially? The public response has been extraordinary. They want to leverage it for the new social responsibility initiative." Amelia hesitated. On one hand, the photo was already public. On the other, further exposing Lily made her uncomfortable. "I'm not sure," she replied honestly. To her surprise, Ethan nodded sympathetically. "It's entirely your decision. Personally, I also have reservations about using a spontaneous moment for marketing." Their gazes met, and for the first time, Amelia saw something more than just the demanding boss. She saw the man who had naturally picked up her daughter, without judgment or embarrassment. "How's Lily?" Ethan asked. "Good. She can't stop talking about the man with the blue tie." Ethan smiled, a genuine smile that transformed his usually serious face. "She's a special child." "She is," Amelia agreed. "And about the photo, I'd prefer if they didn't use it commercially." "I'll respect your decision," he replied, and then added, "Have you eaten anything?" "It's almost 3. The question caught her by surprise. "No, not really. I was finishing the report you asked for." "Me neither. Would you like to join me? I know a discreet place nearby." Half an hour later, they were sitting in a small Italian restaurant 3 blocks from the office. The conversation, initially tense, now flowed naturally. They talked about technology, music, books. They didn't mention work or the famous photo. "How did you end up being a single mom and a programmer?" Ethan asked as they waited for dessert. The question, though direct, didn't sound invasive in his voice. Amelia took a deep breath. "I got pregnant in my last year of university. Lily's father," she hesitated. "David wasn't a good person. When he found out about the pregnancy, he showed his true colors. I had to leave him and go it alone." Ethan listened attentively. "It must have been difficult to finish your studies with a baby." "It was. But it was also my motivation not to give up," she replied. "And you? How did you get to be so successful before 40? "I founded Accentech Incorporated at 25. I sold my first software at 20, Ethan explained without presumption. "But success has its price. I never had time for," he made a vague gesture, "for what's important." Something in his tone made Amelia see him in a new light. This powerful man, admired and feared, was opening a small window into his solitude. The return to the office was silent, comfortable. As they said goodbye in the elevator, Ethan lightly brushed her hand. "Thanks for the company, Amelia." That small touch unleashed a shiver that surprised her. What do you think is going to happen next with Amelia and Ethan? Share your predictions in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this story, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any updates. The following weeks brought a new rhythm. Ethan found reasons to pass by the development department. Amelia received special assignments that required private meetings. Her colleagues began to notice the changes. The boss never personally reviews security protocols. Martin commented suspiciously after Ethan spent 20 minutes discussing code with Amelia. Patricia, who had been marginally kinder since the Lily incident, reverted to her hostility. One rainy afternoon, Amelia was leaving late. She had asked for permission to attend a meeting at Lily's kindergarten and was now making up the time. The parking lot was almost empty when she finished. "No umbrella?" a familiar voice asked behind her. Ethan was there watching the torrential rain. "I thought it would stop sooner," Amelia replied. "Let me drive you," he offered. This time Amelia accepted. In the car, with the sound of rain hitting the roof, a strange intimacy enveloped them. Ethan drove in silence, following Amelia's directions to her modest apartment. "Do you want to come up for a moment?" she asked when they arrived. "Lily will be happy to see the man with the blue tie." The evening was surprisingly natural. Lily, initially shy, soon dragged Ethan to show him her toys. After putting the child to bed, Amelia served 2 cups of coffee in the small living room. "You have a beautiful home," Ethan said, observing the family photos and personal touches. "It's small, but it's ours." The conversation deepened. They talked about dreams, fears, failures. The CEO's mask disappeared completely, revealing the vulnerable man beneath. When it was time to say goodbye, both stopped at the door, hesitating. "Thank you for tonight," Ethan murmured. "Thank you for bringing me," she replied. The silence that followed was charged with possibilities. Ethan took a step towards her. Amelia didn't back down. Their lips met in a soft, timid kiss that quickly transformed into something deeper. Separating, both knew they had crossed a line from which there was no return. "This will complicate things," Amelia whispered. I know, he replied, stroking her cheek. But I think it's worth it. The next day, Clara intercepted Ethan before his first meeting. Be careful, the loyal assistant warned. People are starting to talk. Protect her. Don't complicate her life. Ethan nodded, knowing Clara was right. They had to be discreet, for Amelia's and Lily's sake. But something had begun between them. Something they no longer could, or wanted to, stop. The story is getting intense. Isn't it? What do you think will happen now that their secret is out? Comment below, and give this video a thumbs up if you're hooked. Amelia's phone vibrated as she finished reviewing some code. The screen showed an unknown number. She hesitated before answering. Hello. Long time no hear, Amy, said a voice she never thought she'd hear again. The blood froze in her veins. David, Lily's father. What do you want? She asked, her voice tight. Is that how you greet your daughter's father after 3 years? He replied mockingly. I want to see her. No. The answer came out automatically, instinctively. I'm not asking permission, Amelia. I have rights. You lost any rights when you abandoned us. David's laugh on the other end of the line sent shivers down her spine. I saw you online, you know? Looks like you got my daughter a rich daddy, the famous Ethan Sterling carrying her. How convenient. Amelia gripped the phone so tightly her knuckles turned white. Don't drag Lily into your games. Tomorrow I want to see her, or I'm talking to a lawyer, David declared. I'll text you the address. The call ended. Amelia stood motionless, her mind blank and her heart racing. 3 years of peace destroyed in 3 minutes. Are you okay? Daniela asked from the cubicle next door. You look pale. I need air, Amelia murmured, getting up abruptly. On the building's rooftop, Amelia tried to breathe as tears rolled down her cheeks. She hadn't told Ethan the whole truth. David hadn't just abandoned her. He had been violent, controlling. The emotional scars were only just beginning to heal. The door opened behind her. It was Clara. I saw you run out, the assistant said. Can I help? Something in Clara's compassionate gaze made Amelia break down. Between sobs, she told her about the call. It has to be because of the photo, she concluded. He saw me with Ethan and now he wants money, Clara finished. Probably. Or revenge. Or both. Clara took her hands. You have to tell Ethan. I can't involve him in this. He's already involved, Amelia. From the moment he picked up Lily in front of hundreds of people. That night, Amelia couldn't sleep. She hugged Lily, who slept peacefully, unaware that her world was about to change. At 3 in the morning, she made a decision. She wouldn't meet David. She wouldn't expose her daughter. At dawn, she sent a message to Ethan. I need to talk to you. It's urgent. The answer came immediately. I'll wait for you in my office at 8. When Amelia entered, Ethan knew instantly that something was wrong. She had pronounced dark circles under her eyes, and her hands were trembling. What's wrong? He asked, guiding her to the sofa instead of his desk. Amelia showed him her phone with David's messages. He had already sent 3 threats for her not showing up to the meeting. He's Lily's father, she explained, her voice breaking. He's never seen her. He left us when I was pregnant. Ethan read the messages, his face hardening with each one. What haven't you told me, Amelia? He asked softly. This doesn't sound like a simple abandonment. Slowly, painfully, Amelia revealed the complete truth. The pushes that turned into blows. The humiliations. The night she escaped with only a suitcase and a 4-month pregnancy. I never reported him, she confessed. I was scared. I was alone and scared. Ethan listened without interrupting, his eyes revealing a mixture of compassion and contained fury. You won't meet him, he said finally, and he won't get Lily. But the law? He's her biological father. The law also protects victims of domestic violence, Ethan replied firmly. And that's exactly what we'll do. This is a critical turning point. What do you think Amelia should do next? Share your advice in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more chapters of this thrilling story. Half an hour later, an elegant middle-aged man entered Ethan's office. Richard Green, Axantech Incorporated's lead attorney, listened intently to Amelia's story. "We need documentation," he explained. "Medical records, testimonies, any proof of abuse. Did anyone else know about your situation?" "My mother, before she passed away. And Maria, my old neighbor. She helped me escape." "Good. We'll contact Maria." The lawyer nodded. "Meanwhile, we'll initiate a request for a preventive protective order. And Amelia? You'll need a psychological evaluation to document the post-traumatic stress." Everything happened at dizzying speed. Ethan placed the entire company's legal team at her disposal. By noon, Amelia had given her formal statement and scheduled appointments with specialists. David called again as she was returning to her apartment. "You're a damn coward," he shouted. "I want to see my daughter. Any communication must be through my lawyer." Amelia replied with a calm she didn't feel, repeating the words Richard had taught her. "Lawyer?" David burst out laughing. "Did your rich boyfriend get you a lapdog?" "This isn't over, Amelia." The call ended abruptly. Minutes later, her phone received a message from the judicial system. David had officially requested shared parental custody of Lily in a neighboring municipality where Amelia had no way to prove past violence. The panic returned with full force. She called Ethan in tears. "Calm down," he said firmly. "We were expecting this. Richard is already preparing the legal response." "I'm scared, Ethan. If a judge gives him supervised visits." "It won't happen," he interrupted her. "I promise you." That afternoon, while picking up Lily from daycare, Amelia noticed an unfamiliar car parked outside. Her heart skipped a beat when she saw David watching her from the vehicle. He didn't approach, just stared intently before driving off. The message was clear. He knew where to find them. Upon arriving home, she discovered that Ethan had sent private security to guard her building. A message confirmed it. "You're not alone in this." Clutching Lily to her chest, Amelia allowed herself to cry silently. The fear was still there, suffocating, but now there was something else. Determination. This time she wouldn't run. This time she would fight, and she wouldn't do it alone. The judge's chambers smelled of old wood and fresh coffee. Amelia sat with her back straight, trying to project a calm she didn't feel. Beside her, Richard Green organized documents with military precision. "Breathe deeply," the lawyer murmured. "Judge Miller has experience in domestic violence cases." The door opened, and a woman in her 50s entered with a firm step. Her gaze was sharp but not intimidating. "Good morning," she greeted as she took her seat. "I have reviewed the request for a preventive protective order and the attached documents." Amelia felt time stop. 3 weeks of legal preparation, testimonies, psychological evaluations, and old medical records had culminated in this moment. "Ms. Hayes," the judge continued, "I need to ask you some questions directly." For the next hour, Amelia relived the darkest episodes of her relationship with David. Each word hurt like opening old wounds, but Richard's voice during preparation resonated in her mind. The full truth, unfiltered. The judge needs to understand exactly what kind of danger these encounters represent. "And you never filed a formal complaint?" the judge asked in a neutral tone. "No, Your Honor. I was scared and pregnant. I just wanted to get as far away as possible." The judge nodded, taking notes. "What happened when Mr. Dawson recently contacted you?" "He demanded to see Lily. When I refused, he initiated a shared custody process in a neighboring county where we have no history." "A strategic move," Richard interjected. "The county court doesn't have access to Ms. Hayes' medical records in this jurisdiction." The judge reviewed more documents. "The psychological report indicates post-traumatic stress consistent with prolonged abuse," she observed. "And Ms. Gutierrez's testimony corroborates the incidence of violence." Maria, Amelia's old neighbor, had traveled from out of state to testify. Her detailed testimony about the nights of shouting, the bruises she had seen on Amelia, and how she helped her escape had been crucial. "Has there been any direct contact from Mr. Dawson with the minor?" the judge asked. "No, Your Honor. He has never seen Lily. And any recent incidents that suggest immediate threat? Amelia described the car parked outside the daycare and the threatening messages. Richard presented screenshots of each one. The judge closed the folder and intertwined her fingers. Ms. Hayes, considering the evidence presented, I will grant the preventive protective order for 6 months. Mr. Dawson will not be able to approach you or your daughter within 500 yards, nor establish contact by any means. A huge weight lifted from Amelia's shoulders. Furthermore, the judge continued, I will send notification to the county court regarding this case. I cannot directly interfere with their jurisdiction, but I will ensure they have access to this background information. Thank you, Your Honor, Amelia replied, her voice trembling. What an emotional moment. How do you feel about the judge's decision? Share your thoughts below, and if you found this part empowering, give us a like. Leaving the courthouse, the sun shone with particular intensity. Richard spoke about the next legal steps, but Amelia barely listened. For the first time in weeks, she could breathe without feeling like she was suffocating. Ethan was waiting for her at a nearby cafe. His expression lit up when he saw the faint smile on Amelia's face. The judge approved the protective order, Richard announced, and will send documentation to the other court. Excellent work, Ethan replied, but his eyes were fixed on Amelia. How do you feel? Like I've run a marathon, she confessed. Tired, but stronger. Over the following days, the legal battle continued in the county court. David, furious about the protective order, intensified his custody demand. He hired an aggressive lawyer who tried to discredit Amelia, presenting her as an opportunist seeking Ethan's money. It's a crude strategy, Richard explained as they prepared the defense. They're trying to divert attention from the real problem, his history of violence. The process moved slowly. Each hearing was a test for Amelia, who relived her trauma while listening to David present himself as a repentant father who only wanted to meet his daughter. One afternoon, while waiting outside the courtroom, David approached Amelia when Richard had momentarily stepped away. We could resolve this easily, he murmured with a malicious smile. A financial agreement, something that recognizes my paternity. Stay away, Amelia replied firmly. The protective order is still in effect. You think a piece of paper will stop me? His tone turned menacing. We're family, Amy. That will never change. Richard returned, and David backed away, but not before casting one last intimidating look. That night, in Amelia's apartment, Ethan was reviewing reports while she put Lily to bed. The child, oblivious to all the legal drama, had grown fond of Evan, as she now called him. She's asleep, Amelia announced, collapsing onto the sofa next to him. Today she asked me why there's a man at the entrance to the building. The security guard was still necessary. David had tried to enter the building twice. What did you tell her? That he's a friend who watches over us, she replied with a sigh. How long will we live like this, Ethan? He took her hand. The county judge received the full file from Judge Miller today. Richard believes they'll reject the custody demand at the next hearing. What if they don't? Then we'll keep fighting, he replied with determination. You're not alone in this, Amelia. 3 days later, the county court issued its ruling. David's demand was rejected. The judge, after reviewing the history of violence and considering the child's well-being, determined that it was not appropriate to grant visitation rights to the biological father. David, furious, tried to approach Amelia at the courthouse exit. The security guards hired by Ethan immediately intervened. This isn't over, he shouted as they led him away. She's my daughter. But it was over, at least legally. The protective order remained in effect, and now 2 different courts recognized the danger David represented. That night, as Ethan hugged her in silence, Amelia cried, not out of fear, but out of relief. The tears washed away years of contained terror. Thank you, she whispered against his chest, for believing me, for supporting me. Always, he replied, kissing her forehead. I'll always be there. For the first time in weeks, Amelia slept deeply, without nightmares, without sudden awakenings. Beside her, Ethan watched over her sleep, understanding that what they had built together went far beyond a simple romance. It was a refuge, a fortress, a home. What an incredible journey for Amelia. What was your favorite moment of strength and resilience in this chapter? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you're ready for more inspiring stories, subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. The Human Resources Office had a sterile air that contrasted with the warmth of Sarah Jenkins, the department director. "I understand your reasons, Amelia," the woman said as she reviewed the transfer request. "But the innovation department rarely accepts staff without at least a year in development." "I know," Amelia replied with determination, "but I've proven my capabilities these past few months, and I believe it's best for everyone." What she didn't say was what both knew. Her relationship with Ethan had become Accentech Incorporated's worst-kept secret. Despite their discretion, rumors grew. Patricia and her group insinuated favoritism. Some suppliers asked veiled questions. The situation was becoming unsustainable. "I'll speak with Mr. Davies, the Director of Innovation," Sarah finally conceded. "But I don't promise anything." "Thank you," Amelia replied, getting up to leave. "Amelia," Sarah stopped her. "Whatever you decide, do it for yourself, not for what others think." That afternoon, picking up Lily from daycare, Amelia reflected on those words. Since the legal victory against David 3 weeks prior, her life had found a certain stability. Ethan spent almost every night at her apartment. Lily adored him. In many ways, they were already a family, but the shadow of their positions in the company loomed over them. "Mommy!" Lily exclaimed, running towards her. "Look at my drawing." The paper showed 3 figures: a woman with black hair, a small girl, and a tall man with what appeared to be a tie. "Is that us?" "Yes, you, me, and Evan," Lily replied proudly. "My family." The words hit Amelia like a revelation. Her daughter had already incorporated Ethan into her concept of family. What if things didn't work out? What if the work pressure ended their relationship? That night, when Ethan arrived, Amelia had dinner ready and Lily already bathed. The domestic normalcy between them felt surprisingly natural. "Mr. Davies called me today," Ethan commented as they washed dishes. "He said you requested a transfer to innovation." Amelia stopped drying the glass in her hands. "I wanted to talk to you after it was confirmed." "Why didn't you consult me first?" "Because I needed to make this decision myself," she replied firmly. "Ethan, you know we can't go on like this. The rumors, the stares, they're starting to affect my work." He put down the cloth and turned to face her directly. "No one has questioned your performance yet, but they will. Every one of my achievements will be attributed to my relationship with you." Ethan remained silent, processing her words. "What if we talk openly about us?" he finally suggested. "Without hiding." "That would only make things worse," Amelia replied. "I need to build my career on my own merits. And for that, I need professional distance." The conversation continued late into the night. It wasn't an argument, but a sincere dialogue about their fears and hopes. In the end, Ethan understood and supported her decision. "I'll talk to Mr. Davies personally," he said before bed, "but not to influence his decision, only to assure him that I won't interfere with his department." 3 days later, Amelia received the notification. Her transfer had been approved. As of Monday, she would be part of the innovation team, under the direct supervision of Mr. Davies. Clara was the first to congratulate her. "It's a big step," the assistant said during a quick coffee. "Mr. Davies is demanding but fair." "Do you think I did the right thing?" Amelia asked. "Absolutely. Ethan needed to understand that you're not just his partner, but a professional with your own ambitions." The first week in innovation was intense. The team was small, but brilliant, focused on developing technologies that hadn't even been publicly announced. Mr. Davies, a man of few words, tested her with complex projects from day one. To everyone's surprise, Ethan didn't appear in the department. He scrupulously respected the professional separation Amelia had requested. Their encounters at the company were limited to general meetings where they maintained a professional courtesy that no one could question. At home, however, their relationship flourished. Ethan reorganized his schedule to be present for dinners and help put Lily to bed. On weekends, they went to the park or small family restaurants away from the city center, where they could simply be a normal couple with a child. A month after the transfer, Amelia initiated another important change. She enrolled in a night program to complete a specialization in artificial intelligence. Classes were 3 times a week, after work. "I'll support you in this," Ethan assured her when she told him her plans. "I can stay with Lily those nights." "Are you sure?" Amelia asked, surprised by the offer. "They're big responsibilities." "We're a team, aren't we?" he replied naturally. "Besides, Lily and I have unfinished business with her dinosaur collection." The first night Amelia attended classes, she returned nervous, expecting to find chaos. Instead, she discovered Ethan and Lily asleep on the sofa, surrounded by children's books. The scene provoked such intense emotion that she had to hold back tears. This powerful man, who commanded one of the most important tech companies in the country, found his greatest joy in reading stories to a 3-year-old girl. The following weeks established a new normal. Amelia excelled in innovation. Ethan respected her professional space. Lily thrived with the constant love of both. Rumors at the company began to fade as it became clear that Amelia received no preferential treatment. One night, while studying at the small dining room table, Amelia looked up to find Ethan watching her with a smile. "What?" she asked, returning the smile. "Nothing," he replied. "Just that I admire your strength, your determination." "I don't always feel strong," Amelia confessed. "I know. That makes it even more impressive." They looked at each other in silence, understanding that what they had built went beyond a simple relationship. It was a partnership of equals, based on mutual respect, where each could be strong or vulnerable depending on the moment. And that, Amelia thought as she returned to her studies, was more valuable than any fairy tale. What do you think of Amelia's decision to maintain professional distance and Ethan's support for her dreams? Share your thoughts and don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more amazing stories. "Did you cancel the meeting with the Japanese investors?" Amelia asked. "I rescheduled them for next week," Ethan replied, signing several documents. "Thursday is Lily's presentation at the preschool." Clara smiled, remembering the Ethan of 6 months ago who would never have changed his schedule for something personal. "I'm going to need to update the protocols for your personal agenda," she commented, making notes. "This is the 3rd family event you've prioritized this month." "It's not a problem, is it?" Ethan asked, looking up. "On the contrary, I think everyone is adapting well to this new balance." In the innovation department, 4 floors below, Amelia was presenting the progress of her project. Mr. Davies and the rest of the team listened attentively as she explained a new pattern recognition algorithm. "Impressive, Hayes," Mr. Davies said when she finished. "If field tests confirm these results, we could implement it in the next update." Daniela, who had transferred to innovation a month after Amelia, gave her a friendly nudge as they left the conference room. "I told you you'd get it." Mr. Davies never praises anyone. Amelia smiled. After 4 months in innovation, she finally felt she had earned her place on her own merits. Her colleagues respected her, and insinuations about favoritism had almost completely ceased. "Ready for final exams?" Daniela asked as they returned to their desks. "Almost. I still need to review advanced statistics." The first semester of her specialization was coming to an end. It had been intense months, dividing her time between work, studies, and her family. But every sacrifice was worth it when she saw the results. "And how's everything with the boss?" Daniela asked quietly. "You haven't asked in a while." "Good," Amelia replied with a contained smile. "Really good." What she didn't say was how much her domestic life had changed. Ethan was no longer just a frequent visitor. He had completely integrated his life with theirs. He had his own dresser drawer, his keys to the apartment, and an established routine with Lily. That afternoon, leaving work, Amelia was surprised to see Clara waiting for her in the lobby. "Ethan asked me to give you this," the assistant said, handing her an envelope. "He said it's important." Inside, she found 3 plane tickets to a beachfront resort in Cancun. A handwritten note read, "To celebrate your final exams. Just the 3 of us. No phones, no laptops. Dare to." The proposal left her breathless. In all these months, they had never taken a vacation together. The idea of Ethan completely disengaging from work for a week seemed almost impossible. "Do you know anything about this?" she asked Clara. "Only that he blocked a full week in his schedule," the assistant replied with a knowing smile, "and left strict instructions not to be contacted except for level 5 emergencies." The trip turned out to be exactly what they needed. Ethan, temporarily freed from his executive responsibilities, transformed into a relaxed, playful man who spent hours building sandcastles with Lily. Amelia, without the weight of studies and work, rediscovered the pleasure of simply existing in the moment. "I've never seen you like this," she commented one night as they watched the stars from their private balcony, with Lily already asleep in the room. "Like what?" he asked. "Completely present. Without a part of your mind somewhere else." Ethan intertwined his fingers with hers. "Before you two, I was always divided. Now I know where I really want to be." Upon their return, Amelia immersed herself in preparing for her final exams. The late nights of studying became more bearable with Ethan supporting her, sometimes simply sitting beside her with his own laptop, other times helping her review concepts. "Can you imagine this a year ago?" Amelia asked one night as they reviewed algorithms. "You, the big CEO, helping me with my homework. A year ago, I was convinced my life was complete," Ethan replied with a smile. "I didn't know how wrong I was." The exam week came and went in a blur of adrenaline and caffeine. When she finally submitted her last assignment, Amelia felt a deep but satisfying exhaustion. She had given her best. 2 weeks later, the results arrived in her email. With trembling hands, she opened the message while Ethan and Lily watched expectantly. "I passed everything," she exclaimed. "With excellent grades." The celebration was simple but meaningful. Homemade ice cream on the sofa, with Lily insisting they all wear party hats she had made in kindergarten. Later that night, when Lily was asleep and they were sharing a glass of wine, Ethan pulled a small box from his pocket. "I have something for you," he said, handing it to her. "It's not what you think, so breathe." Inside was a key. "My apartment is too far from the preschool," he explained. "And this place, as much as I love it, is getting small for the 3 of us. I found a house in the suburbs. It has a yard, 3 bedrooms, and it's 15 minutes from the office." Amelia looked at the key, processing what it meant. "You want us to live together, officially?" "Only if you want to," Ethan replied. "The house is in all 3 of our names. It's not a conditional offer, it's a commitment." "Can I see it first?" Amelia asked with a smile. What an incredible proposal. What are your hopes for Amelia, Ethan, and Lily's future in their new home? Share your thoughts below, and let us know where you're watching from, e.g., Mexico, Colombia, Argentina, Spain, or somewhere further afield. That weekend, as they toured the beautiful renovated colonial house, Lily ran directly to the backyard where a swing set had already been installed. "You thought of everything," Amelia commented, observing the study he had prepared for her. "I tried," Ethan replied. "But we can change anything you don't like." Amelia hugged him, moved by the consideration behind every detail. This man, who had once been just the demanding boss, was now her partner, the father Lily deserved, and her greatest support. "We'll move in whenever you say," she whispered against his chest. As they watched Lily play in the garden, both understood that this was not the end of their story, but just the true beginning. The National University auditorium was packed. Amelia breathed deeply, trying to calm her nerves as she adjusted her black gown over her dress. Around her, her fellow graduates conversed excitedly, sharing plans and celebrating the end of an intense year of specialization. "Hayes!" her professor exclaimed, handing her an envelope. I wanted to give you this personally before the ceremony. Amelia opened the envelope with curiosity. It was a letter of recommendation for a prestigious doctoral program. You have the potential to go far, the professor added. Think about it. With the envelope in hand, Amelia sought a quiet corner to process this unexpected opportunity. The doctorate would mean more years of intense study, more sacrifices, more impossible balancing acts, but it also represented a dream that had once seemed unreachable. Her phone vibrated with a message from the sitter. We're here. Lily is impatient. The ceremony began with the traditional academic procession. From her seat, Amelia discreetly scanned the audience looking for Lily. They had agreed that the sitter would bring her, as Ethan had a crucial meeting with European investors that he couldn't reschedule. The rector began his speech. Amelia half listened, divided between the pride of the moment and the disappointment that Ethan wasn't there. She perfectly understood the commitments of his position, but even so, her thoughts were interrupted when someone 2 rows ahead turned to look at her insistently. It was Daniela, who was now making strange gestures, pointing towards the back of the auditorium. Discreetly, Amelia turned around. Her heart skipped a beat. In the last row, partially hidden by a pillar, was Ethan. He was wearing a formal suit, as if he had come directly from his meeting. And on his lap, in a sky-blue dress with her hair in pigtails, was Lily, who, upon seeing Amelia, began waving excitedly. Ethan gently placed a finger to his lips, asking the child for silence. Then, noticing that Amelia had seen them, he simply smiled and nodded slightly. Tears momentarily blurred Amelia's vision. He had come. He had found a way. The ceremony continued. When her name was finally called, Amelia walked across the stage with a firm step to receive her diploma. From her elevated position, she could clearly see Ethan and Lily applauding. The little girl was practically bouncing in her seat, while Ethan discreetly tried to contain her. At the conclusion of the ceremony, the auditorium filled with the typical chaos of families seeking hugs, photos, and tears of joy. Amelia navigated through the crowd towards the back of the hall. Lily was the first to see her. She wiggled out of Ethan's hand and ran towards her. "Mommy, I saw you on stage. You looked so pretty." Amelia lifted her into her arms, covering her face with kisses. "Thank you, my love. Were you well behaved?" "She's always well behaved with me," Ethan replied, approaching with a smile. "Congratulations, Master Hayes. I thought you couldn't make it," Amelia said, still surprised. "I moved the meeting up," he explained. "I told them I had an unmissable family commitment. And the investors accepted that easily? They had to," he replied with a mischievous glint in his eyes. "I told them if they wanted my signature today, it would be before 4, or it would be next week." Amelia laughed, imagining the scene. The powerful Ethan Sterling setting conditions for a graduation ceremony? "For your ceremony," he corrected softly. "I wouldn't miss it for anything." Lily, oblivious to the adult conversation, played with the tassel on Amelia's graduation cap. "Can we go get ice cream?" the child asked. Evan promised ice cream afterwards. "Of course, princess," Amelia replied. "But first, will you help me take a picture with my classmates?" What a heartwarming ending. What part of Amelia's journey touched your heart the most? Was it her struggle as a single mom, the moment Lily interrupted the presentation, or perhaps that surprise ending where Ethan shows up at the graduation? Every one of your comments helps me create better stories for you. So don't hesitate to share your thoughts below, and hit that like button if you enjoyed Love Isn't Asked For, It's Built. And I'm dying to know where in the world you're joining us from today. What country are you watching this video from? The US, Canada, the UK, Australia, or perhaps somewhere more distant? If you enjoyed this realistic story of love and overcoming challenges, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for content like this. Sharing the video also helps immensely in getting these stories to more people who might need a little hope in their day. Thanks for joining me.